Man, it seems like Diddy just can't stay out of the headlines these days. It's like every time you turn around, there's another twist to the story.
Oh, yeah. This whole thing just keeps getting more and more complicated, right?
It really does. And, well, what we want to do today is, take a deep dive into a piece of this whole Diddy saga that really caught our eye.
Yeah.
And that's this jail call that's been making the rounds.
Yeah.
The one between Diddy and Kanye West.
Right.
Because I think a lot of people, when they saw the headline, jail call between Diddy and Kanye, they're immediately thinking like, whoa, hold on, Diddy's in jail.
Yeah.
So, that's the first thing this call really confirms for us,
right? Right, absolutely, yeah. The call does confirm that, yeah, he's currently incarcerated. And, this kind of ties back to that superseding indictment that we all heard about earlier in March.
Right, exactly, yeah.
The Hip Hop DX article actually does a pretty good job of laying out that whole connection, reminding us of just how serious those accusations in the indictment actually are. We're talking allegations of forcing employees to work like crazy long hours, almost no sleep, under threat.
It's pretty heavy stuff.
It is, yeah, heavy stuff. But it's crucial to remember, though, that Diddy has pleaded not guilty to all these charges, so.
Right. Of course. The legal process is still ongoing. But, I think what really struck me about this call when I was reading through the report were Diddy's own words about the whole situation. He just doesn't come across like someone who's resigned to his fate. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. That's actually one of the most fascinating parts of this whole thing, I think. According to the report, Diddy makes a very explicit statement, directly expressing his confidence that he's going to overcome all this, beat these legal challenges. He actually says, quote, "I'm going to beat this shit and get next to you."
Wow.
So, it's a pretty bold statement, especially considering the circumstances.
For sure. And of course, get next to you. He's talking to Kanye there, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But it's interesting because it wasn't only about his own legal troubles,
Mm-hmm.
He seemed to have a very specific message for Kanye, almost like urging him to do something.
Yeah, that's what's so interesting here. It's this kind of encouragement that Diddy's giving to Kanye, almost like he's pushing him,
Okay.
Pushing him to get back to the music, back to performing, and on a big scale, too.
Yeah.
The quote is, "When I get out, I want to see you fucking tear down the stadiums."
How do you even respond to that when you're Kanye?
Yeah. I don't know. It's a very evocative statement, right? It really suggests this desire to see Kanye, reclaim his spot, at the top of the music world.
Yeah.
It makes you think about what their relationship is really like, And the role that Diddy maybe plays in Kanye's life as a motivator, even when he's behind bars.
Right. You don't usually hear that kind of outward focus when someone's going through something so heavy.
Right.
But then it wasn't all bravado and encouragement, was it?
Yeah.
The report also talks about this real sadness in Diddy's voice.
Yeah, that's right. And that emotional layer is something we definitely have to consider here because, he actually says, "This shit is fucking sad, nigga. I'm Puff Daddy in jail. This shit is fucking sad as a motherfucker be." And it just really, drives home the personal cost of all of this, all these events, It's like a reminder that beneath all the headlines, there's a real person here, a real human element. What do you think about that raw emotion in that statement? What jumps out at you?
It's just so raw, right? It's like there's no filter. This is Diddy, Puff Daddy, an icon. He's always projected this image of success and power. And to hear him express this, vulnerability, this sadness about where he is now, it's pretty powerful. It definitely makes you think,
It does. It does, yeah.
And it's not just those immediate reactions,
Yeah.
Right? It feels like there's some bigger theme, some, I don't know, maybe a personal mantra he's using to get through this whole thing.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. If we look beyond just the individual statements and try to see the bigger picture, you can definitely see some recurring ideas like resilience, this belief that he can overcome anything. He says the devil is a liar. And it suggests something deeper, right?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's spiritual, maybe it's philosophical, I don't know. But it's how he's choosing to navigate this crisis.
Right.
He also talks about, wanting to focus on happiness once he's out. And he even expresses concern for Kanye as well as himself. He says, they definitely trying to end us.
They definitely trying to end us. That's a heavy statement, right?
It is. It really is.
Look, they both feel like they're being targeted.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what's behind that feeling.
Absolutely. It raises a question about what this does to someone psychologically, right?
Yeah.
To be under this kind of scrutiny, facing this legal pressure. It could be that this narrative of being targeted by outside forces, that's how they make sense of it all, It's powerful.
It is. And it's also crazy to think that this phone call, something you'd think would be private, ends up being public so fast.
Yeah.
And it's not just public, it's in Kanye's music.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, right? This private conversation just like explodes into the public sphere.
Right.
And it happens so quickly. And like you said, portions of this call actually end up in a Kanye West song. It's called Lonely Roads Still Go to Sunshine. I mean, I think he shared it on social media for a bit.
Right.
And then took it down, which, makes it even more mysterious. I mean, it makes you think about how blurry the lines are these days, between public and private, especially with social media and everything.
Yeah, totally. And it wasn't just Kanye on the track either, right? There were some other familiar names too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The report says that Kanye's daughter, Northwest, was on the song, as well as Diddy's son, Christian King Combs. And there's this woman, Jasmine Williams, who I think is connected to Kanye's Yeezy brand.
Wow. So, like, their families are involved too.
It's like this whole interconnected web, right, of their personal lives, their professional lives. What happens to one affects the other, and it just ripples out.
And it's not just the people involved, it's the music itself.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
I mean, that beat switch at the end of the song.
Oh, man, yeah. Hip Hop DX specifically mentions that. They say that there's this beat switch, it happens right near the end, and it's got Diddy's signature ad-lib, as we proceed. They even compare it to Biggie's My Downfall, which is interesting. It's like a deliberate connection to Diddy's legacy, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe history repeating itself, or maybe just Diddy seeing himself in that lineage. What do you think about that musical reference?
I mean, it's a pretty powerful thing to include, right? You could interpret it in so many ways, like a tribute, or a reminder of all his past successes. Maybe even a bit of defiance, like, I'm still here. This is another layer to this whole thing.
Yeah.
Now, switching gears a bit, there have been some updates on Diddy's sex trial, too.
That's right, yeah. The article gives us an update on that. So the trial, it was supposed to start on May 5th, but now it's been pushed back a week.
Okay.
So it's set to begin on May 12th. They say the delay is to give them more time for all the pre-trial stuff, like picking the jury, dealing with any legal motions that have been filed, making sure all the evidence is disclosed. When we talk about motions in this context, we're talking about like formal requests made to the court, either by the defense or the prosecution. Could be things like asking to exclude certain evidence or for the judge to make specific rulings before the trial starts.
Oh, okay. Got it. So, like, setting the ground rules.
Exactly.
And this decision to delay the trial probably happened at that pre-trial conference, right?
Yeah.
The one a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, most likely. The article mentions that Diddy was in court for a pre-trial conference on Friday, March 14th. So it was probably then that they decided to push things back.
Got it. And it sounds like there's another one coming up soon, too.
That's right, yeah. The next pre-trial conference is scheduled for April 25th. So even with all this drama surrounding the jail call, the legal wheels keep turning.
They do. They always do. Okay. Now, before we wrap up our deep dive here,
Yeah.
it's super important for us to say something. We've been talking about what was said in this jail call, but we're not endorsing anything that Diddy or Kanye said.
Yeah, that's absolutely critical to remember. We're not here to take sides or say who's right or wrong.
Right.
We're just analyzing the information that's out there. What does it tell us? What does it mean in the context of everything that's going on? We're looking at the information itself, not saying whether what they said is true or not.
Exactly. Okay, so to sum it all up, this jail call, it's a really fascinating glimpse into a complicated situation. Huh?
It is, yeah.
We heard Diddy claim he's innocent, encourage Kanye West, talk about how he feels being locked up, and even suggest that there are people out to get them. Then the call itself ends up in Kanye's music.
Uh-huh.
And we got some updates on Diddy's upcoming trial. A lot to unpack.
It is a lot, but I think you summed it up well. It's like personal struggle playing out in public, creative expression as a response, and then the legal system, grinding away in the background. It's all connected.
It really is. So here's the thought I keep coming back to, what does it mean when these private, personal conversations of public figures who are going through some heavy stuff become public knowledge? And not just public knowledge, but inspiration for art, too.
Yeah, it's a great question.
It makes you think about fame, right? The line between public and private, and how we as an audience, how we take all this in, how we interpret it. It's more than just celebrity gossip,
Yeah.
It's a glimpse into a very human experience that's happening under a microscope. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. It's a really interesting question. It definitely makes you think about how we consume information, especially about public figures. Like, where do we draw the line? Is there even a line anymore? And how does it affect everyone involved?
Exactly. It's a lot to ponder.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, that's our deep dive for today. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone.